This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is Blake DeRushi from Iowa Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Sheriff Rotter, are you able to get off mute and start the meeting? All right, apologies for the delay, everyone. We're just trying to get Chair Rotter to be able to speak.
Blake, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay.
Sheriff, I've muted everyone else. You should be able to go ahead and begin.
Okay. Are you hearing me decently now?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Something's wrong with the phone here, but it's working. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for this July 9th, 2020 Iowa 911 Communications Council. We'll call this meeting to order. Could we, Kara, could you please take a roll call for us, please?
Yes, I will. Angie Dobbins.
Here.
Tracy Bearden.
Here.
Lawrence Hartpence.
Here.
Chair Rotter is here. George Griffith. Okay, Mike Bryant. Mark Murphy.
Mark's here.
Jeff Anderson.
Here.
Robbie Johannesson. Rob Dennert. Jack D'Angelo. Taylor Teeple. Or Wayne Johnson. Did anybody get on late? Because we don't have a lot of people. Doesn't look like we have a quorum so far.
I'm Denny Lawson. I got this email, so I don't know if I'm on the council, but I did get the email.
Blake.
Yeah. Sorry, Danny, I don't have you on any of my lists. I don't know who you might represent, but I don't have you on my list of any council members.
Oh my. Well, I'm the Human Resource Director for West Central Community Action in Southwest Iowa. So I don't remember signing up to be on a council, but I got the email. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened either, but this is the statewide 911 council. So I'm not sure how you got that email, but I don't know that it doesn't sound like by your title that you need to be here.
Okay, well, have a great meeting, guys. See you later.
Okay, Kara, how many more do we need to make quorum here? How many do we need in addition to what we have?
Well, let me look here. Well, we need a couple more at least, it looks like.
Okay, I
thought I
didn't.
had seen Robbie join the webinar, but
Okay, well,
Robbie, go ahead.
sorry. Do you have someone else showing up?
Can you guys hear me? This is Robbie. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, yep, now we can hear you. Okay, so we have Rob.
Okay, sounds good. Yep.
Okay, I'm just checking. Has George Griffin signed on by chance? Has Mike Bryant signed on by chance? How about Rob Denner? Lawrence Hartpence?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Kara, did we have Lawrence listed?
Yeah, we had Lawrence.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Lawrence. We could use one more. We could use George or Rob or Mike.
Okay. Okay, well, it sounds like we're not going to get them, so we're going to have issues with our action items. But I think at this point, we'll just have to go ahead as an informational meeting in that case. I don't know that we necessarily vote on the agenda or the minutes. Were there any issues with the minutes that anyone was aware of, just to make note of it? Okay. Blake, I don't know, do we approve the agenda or do we just go on?
I believe we just go, but if somebody knows Robert's rules better than I do, speak up.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
I didn't know. Can you hear me now, or this is George?
We hear you, George.
I'm sorry. I'm working off site and trying to remote into a different computer, and I'm having all kinds of issues. But I think I'm here now, if that matters.
No, it does.
It does. We should be good then.
Okay, very good. All right, so I would approve or ask for an approval for today's agenda. Does anyone have that motion?
So move, Mark Murphy.
Okay, Mark, do we have a second?
George will second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Against? And the motion carries. And then likewise, can I get a motion to approve the June 11th, 2020 minutes?
Jeff Anderson.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second, Tracy Bearden.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Blake.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for jumping on. We'll go ahead and get started with the program manager update. I'm happy to report that, if I can get my slides to advance, that we have successfully turned up the first two PSAPs onto the new merged Next Generation 911 network. So Marshalltown and Iowa Falls were both successful and both actually went very smoothly. Marshalltown turned up last week and Iowa Falls earlier this week. And again, just for those that might not be aware, that is migrating the legacy wireline 911 network onto the existing ESI net or Next Generation 911 network that PSAPs have been receiving their wireless calls on now for a number of years. So it's been a 2 or 3 year process and a number of delays, but happy to report that we are finally underway. Hamilton County Sheriff is scheduled for later today, actually. Additional PSAPs will be scheduled here in the near future. So that has been an effort with Comtech and ICN and CenturyLink, as well as the PSAPs, really to get those scheduled and get the infrastructure in place to make those conversions. The process has been that there's really no change for the landline providers. They continue to provide their 911 service just as they always have, but CenturyLink then points the selective router traffic to the ICN points of ingress or aggregation points rather than to the PSAPs. So that's been the delay so far, and still working to turn up every selective router and point those in the right direction. And that's where we're at next is getting additional selective routers pointed in the right direction, if you will. So additional PSAPs will be scheduled here in the near future. And we're kind of still in negotiations with how many PSAPs will turn up in a week. Hopefully we're shooting for around 4 to 6 PSAPs a week. Certainly not within the first week or so. That'll kind of be the end state of how many we're shooting for kind of on a long-term basis. We are still continuing to send updates both to telcos and PSAPs on a week-by-week basis to make sure everyone's in the loop of where we're at with that process. Any questions on the wireline migration so far? And by all means, feel free to shoot us an email if you can't get off mute or something comes up later in your mind that you're not able to ask at the moment. For quarterly payments, it is the beginning of the new fiscal year, so we are in the process of closing out the previous fiscal year, which means quarterly payments will be sent at the end of the month. You can really expect those kind of the last week. And then we will go through the process of determining what is left in the operating surplus. And as a reminder, that gets passed out equally to the PSAPs. And the timing on that, you should be expecting those checks around the beginning of August. Now, a couple of months ago, we did go through the very manual process of estimating what that amount will be, and we estimated around $25,000 per PSAP. At this point, we're just gonna finish closing out the books on the previous fiscal year. I'm not gonna update that estimate at this point, and we'll make sure to get out an email when we go through that process so you know how much to expect. Not expecting that to change drastically, but as the bills come in, it could go either way, either increase or decrease the amount that we're able to pass through to the PSAPs at the end of the fiscal year. So I'll look for those checks again at the beginning of August. Any questions on the payment side of things? Okay. I don't know if I'm stealing anyone else's thunder by showing this, but we went through, had a couple meetings with Chris Mayers, the SWIC, as well as Jim Lundstedt with CISA. And this is kind of an effort from the federal government to kind of make a easily displayable poster for cybersecurity and ransomware for the PSAPs. So we just finalized this poster. We're going through the process of printing those, and they'll be sent directly to PSAPs throughout the state. We're sending 2 to each PSAP, and we'll also send it electronically. And it really provides a checklist and a really quick bulletized list of who you need to contact within the state of Iowa should your PSAP experience any ransomware or really any general cybersecurity issues. So that'll be getting sent out here, hopefully quickly. Any questions on that? Okay. Moving on. Of course, with the change of the fiscal year does mean that the GIS grant is updated as well. So as a reminder, The grant program itself for 2021 doesn't really change that much. It is still uploading your data in the first half of the year as well as the second half of the year, each 6-month period. And each time that you qualify, that you meet the benchmarks, we will send $6,000 per PSAP to the 911 service boards in your county. The only thing that really changes is the benchmarks themselves. 98% GIS match rate stays the same, and slightly increased the alley to road center line from 95% last year to 98% this year. Other than that, really the grant stays the same. To recap the previous fiscal year and closing that out, in June, an additional 5 counties made the benchmarks. So a total for fiscal year 2020, 90 counties make the benchmarks, and you can see just over $1.1 million. In comparison, it was actually the same amount of counties, but one county must have had 2 PSAPs last year because it's just the $6,000 more that we sent out last fiscal year compared to this fiscal year. But the same number of counties actually met the benchmarks, and we really jumped the benchmarks between the 2 years. So happy to report that that everyone is still really doing good on their GIS work. Any questions there? All right. Moving on to the Travel Public Education and Training Fund. Of course, COVID threw a wrench into this, just like everything else in the world. We had this, the 2020 fund basically expended. We had all $100,000 accounted for and allocated, and then a number of courses needed to cancel. They were in person, and of course, no one's getting together at this point. So we ended up not being able to spend about $35,000. As a reminder, that really kind of just gets put in the same pot that gets passed out equally to the PSAPs as end of year pass-through money. So it's not lost, it doesn't have to get turned back in, but we also can't carry it over. So it does just get divvied up equally as part of the end of year pass-through. Looking ahead, there was no changes to FY 2021 as far as 34A is concerned. Of course, we did put in place the 10% cost share. So one of the items that will be voted on later in the meeting is a request from Polk County, specifically Westcom, for $8,100. That does take into account the 10% cost. The total cost of that course was $9,000, so that has already been factored in. I do have that grant application that I'll be able to display on the webinar when discussion on that particular training request comes up. Any questions on travel, public education, and training? All right, and with that, I don't know if there's any updates. Is Cody Brink from Zetron on the call and able to provide an update on the shared services effort?
Blake, can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent. Yes, sir, I am here. Okay, so for the updates that we have going on here, the biggest one was we have Olwine all good to go and signed off for their deployment. They're up and running and happy. We already talked about the ComTech portion of that on your update earlier, and the last update that we've got on there would be with the iOS upgrades coming in and making the migration for the JFHQ upgrade, which is scheduled later this month. So just a snapshot of the activity on what's going on and what we have going on all up until the end of June, just with the different portions of the project and what's in the pipe and being worked on right now. Currently on the deployment snapshot, just working and getting Humboldt, Iowa, and Marion, Shelby up and going, and just waiting on some circuit turn-up times to get that all set up. And as for that, that's my update for this month.
Thanks, Cody. Any questions on the shared services effort? All right, I will turn it over to, let's start with Mike Lauer for any comments on the wireline migration effort.
Thanks, Blake. As Blake mentioned earlier, we are well underway in our process of moving over and starting to cut over PSAPs. We do look to have about hopefully 6 a week is what we're looking at. There might be a few times where we can get more than that because there are different technical setups and reasons for that. So, but we are looking at this to start to really get underway more in August. As mentioned, there are locations in Mason City and Davenport that will be worked on to bring up just trunks into the ICN points of interconnect or ingress here in the next 2 weeks. So we have a pretty good system going forward. Very, very confident that things are going well. We will continue to reach out with Comtech to PSAPs. You know, of course, obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself, Bill, or Blake, or usually there's emails that have Dig Team on there, and I don't want to take away from any of Comtech's presentation, but feel free if there's any questions. There's plenty of outreach before cutovers happen. We do give at least a couple weeks time frame for when that is going to happen going forward, and we have a good process in place for scheduling PSAPs. If you just one kind of general thing to mention to everyone is if we do call you and we schedule you and we know in 2 weeks you're going to be cut over, and if you do have a problem and you need to reschedule, that's not an issue. Just give us a call, let us know, and we'll work on getting that set back up safe. For whatever reason you don't have staffing available or something comes up. So so far from my perspective of things, like Blake, I think things have gone smoothly, and it's just going to keep going more smooth as we go along and get further and we get the process tweaked and get more of a systematized setup in place. So we look forward to that, and I'll look forward to getting a bulk of these taken care of still in the fall time frame. Might be a little bit later than that, but we're definitely still on track to get a lot of these sites moved over, the PSAPs moved over to the new NGCS system. Other than that, that's all that I have. Does anyone have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
Mike, and then Bill Burnett from Comtech, anything to add to the wireline migration discussion?
Nothing really to add. I think you guys did a good job of covering it. Just any questions, feel free to get a hold of me.
All right, thanks. If there are no other questions for myself, as the program manager, that ends my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Blake. Thank you guys for the reports. Okay, next up, our training funds request. We have a training fund request from Polk County Westcom for the $8,100 that Blake had mentioned. Tracy Bearden, I believe you're the one that put the application in. Would you like to speak?
Yes, I did submit that, and when we do vote on it, I'm going to abstain from voting since I am involved in this application process. This training is about motivating today's leaders for tomorrow's challenges, is what's titled, and it's really going to be working on about leadership skills and interactions, and they're going to use proven techniques and methods to help individuals in the PSAP to become a leader no matter what their position is, because they're big believers that it doesn't matter what your title is, everyone can be a leader. So they're going to be looking at motivation, maintaining positive attitude, willingness to accept challenges, and just empower and engage them. This course has, it's 3 days, September 21st through September 23rd. I did inquire about the ability to hold it virtually. They were in the process when I submitted the application to find out a definitive answer. It will be able to be held virtually if we are unable to meet physically. So that's a benefit. They want to make sure that everyone's safe and healthy. And right now the maximum participants for the course is 25. I don't know if that could change if it does have to be virtually or not, but they're asking for $8,100 after the match. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
With that, does anyone on the council have any specific questions for Tracy? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Westcom request for $8,100 in training funds.
Jeff Anderson.
I'm sorry.
Jeff Anderson.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second? Okay, still waiting a second if anyone has it.
Mark Murphy.
Okay, Mark, thank you. A motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is Lawrence Harpence. I need to abstain from this, but since it's for my for an organization that I represent, or not really represent, but I'm part of the work for.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And anyone against, same sign. Okay, with the 2 people abstaining, I'd say the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Does anyone have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none. Could we please get an update on Iowa Interoperability Governance Board from Chris Myers, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly.
Excellent, thank you. So good morning, everybody. Again, I want to thank you all for your efforts over the past several months. They certainly have not been easy. And again, thank you for all of the work you guys are doing. Update from the board today. I'll start off with some training items. We've been working on trying to fulfill a lot of our technical assistance requests from ICTAP and CISA. Those discussions continue. We were able to deliver one a couple of weeks ago. That was the planning for alternate PSAP facilities. That was a basically brand new course, more or less, that was kind of organically created for us. We held that on June 25th. We had about 30 to 40 individuals on the webinar at various times. Feedback overall was good. We learned quite a few things on how more efficiently to conduct webinars and to make sure the content continues to be engaging, especially during those longer sessions. We have a couple of other TAs that are coming up, the first of which is an encryption planning and usage for administrators. That's going to be a webinar that's scheduled for July 30th. That starts at 0900 and goes to 10:30 Central Time. The goal of that course is to help communications administrators, your county sheriffs, EMAs, PSAP admins, anybody that runs some type of public safety communications program, develop an understanding of encryption. This is part 1 of what will be a 2-part webinar series. The first webinar is geared solely for the administrative people, think decision makers. The second one will be geared towards the technicians, meaning the ones that are actually doing the button pushing and encryption key loading into radios. So those are coming up. The first one is scheduled for July 30th, and that is for the administrators. You can sign up online. That is posted on our website. The other course that's coming up is a revamping of the standard operating procedures and communications plan review and development TA. If you think back to March, we had to postpone that because of COVID. That is now slated to be, as opposed to a 1-day in-person, a 2-day webinar. First part of that webinar will be on September 15th and 16th. On both days, that webinar goes from 0800 to 1130. The thought process there was that we can't have people sit in front of a webinar for 8 hours. So why not just break it out, do it in the morning so that people can have a chance to get to some work in the afternoon and not fall behind on things. So we're going to send out emails to those that previously registered for this on Friday, and then we'll activate the registration site and see if anybody else wants to sign up. And that'll also be posted on our website likely tomorrow. Update on the PSAP grant that we've been working on. We only have one PSAP that has to complete a test call as of today. We'll be working one-on-one with that PSAP to try to help make sure that we can get them to complete that test call. And then at that point, all the PSAPs in Iowa should have a connection to ISICS, at least at a basic level for interoperability. We're still offering one-on-one training as well. We've been able to do this virtually in many cases. We're also roping in status board training with that. We do have some regional trainings that are coming up at the end of July for Region 3, and I think Region 1 is scheduled for sometime in August. So we will be working on providing more training as things are opening back up. ISICS applications that were approved last month for Level 1 access, we have Bremer County Emergency Management, Winneshiek County Emergency Management, and Clark County Sheriff's Office. Level 2, we had approvals for Calhoun County Emergency Management and Muscatine County. Applications that are up for approval today include Iowa Department of Human Services at the Glenwood Resource Center for Level 1. Today, Level 2, we have the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. And then we have a couple of Level 3 applications that are up today as well. One's an update for Adams County Emergency Management. They're going to add paging talk groups to their layout, and then Cass County is also applying for Level 3. Forgot about Butler County. They're signing up for Level 2 today, and then Chickasaw County 911 is up for Level 4 approval. One final update on status board. We did have an unexpected outage earlier this week that was resolved in about 16 hours. Basically, the issue caused the website to show up in browsers as not being secure, and that was because we had an SSL certificate issue. You could still get to the website by clicking on the warning message and saying that you still wanted to go to the site anyways, but that's obviously not desirable operation. What we did to fix that was we got a new SSL certificate, installed it, and then things went back to normal almost immediately. So that outage was taken care of. We learned a little bit from that on how to try to mitigate that in the future. So we have some things to go off of from that. We did some updates to the interoperable talk group tabs as well. We went with a naming convention that was suggested to us by a user so that the interoperable talk groups would be grouped together. That update has been completed, so everybody should be seeing the new tab layout, and hopefully it's clustered together a little bit more efficiently for the dispatchers. One final reminder as we kind of continue to go throughout this whole COVID thing, if you need to do something in your region for Test Iowa or anything like that, the 6 TAC in each region is still kind of pre-designated for COVID response. So if you've got one of those sites and you need to use an interoperable TAC, you can start there. If the 6 TAC in your area is taken up, you can very easily go to the 5th TAC. So that's my report, Mr. Chair. I will go ahead and take questions.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions? Okay, Chris, thank you very much. Moving on, I see that Jim Lundstedt is with us. Jim, could you give us a report, please?
Good morning, Sheriff. Nothing significant to report today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Chapter 34A Administrative Code Committee update. Tracy.
I don't have anything. I'm still kind of waiting for things to return. We didn't have as much success online. It's very clunky to hold it online, so we were trying to think about trying to go to different areas of the state to hold some of these so more people got a chance to be in person and discuss. So I'm just holding off a little bit longer. I think we'll probably start trying to do something in end of August, early September. If things don't change, then just hold it virtually. But I do want the opportunity to kind of go around a little bit so that we have more engagement from people throughout the state of Iowa.
Okay, Tracy, completely understandable. I know it's very difficult right now to have any kind of a meeting, so no issue there. Baseline knowledge, is there any report from that committee? Okay. Any legislative updates?
Oops, sorry. I have a legislative update. Iowa NENA and as well as Iowa ABCO is very, very happy to announce that on June 25th, Governor Kim Reynolds did sign Senate File 2373 into law. This is the one that defines telecommunicators, 911 dispatchers as first responders. The president of Iowa NENA wanted to stress that this is only the first step of many to allow and ensure that the Iowa public safety telecommunicators are held at the same level as the other public safety partners across the state. So he would just request, as they continue to move forward to gain these other benefits through legislatively and get it passed signed by the governor, that continue to support our telecommunicators throughout this process. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, I don't have any unfinished business, and I'm not aware of any new business unless, Blake, you have something?
Nope, I think you're good.
Okay, and I'm assuming we have no travel requests, so we will move business to the floor. Is there anybody online that would like to bring something up with us?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could, please. This is Darren Riney with Westcom. I'm the chief here. First, I wanted to thank the committee for approving the training request, but I wanted to provide some clarification as well. Due to the social distancing and everything that's taking place, there's actually a little bit of a change in that. We're looking, that's actually, instead of a 25-person maximum, that is actually a minimum of 25 people per day. It's the same class being presented over 3 separate days, and we're going to have 2 daytime classes and an evening class with the opportunity to attend. Will be at no cost to the attendees due to your guys' generosity and helping us be able to fund that. If it does come down to the social distancing, that's where the maximum of 25 will come in within our center. However, since we are going to be able to also do this through a webinar type, it will be open up to as many as that we can actually fit through the webinar. And I just wanted to clarify that when you're looking at that at $8,100 going for a maximum of 25, that's not exactly painting the true picture. It's a minimum of 25 per day for 3 separate classes actually. So we'll be able to see hopefully at least 75 people come through there, and a lot more potentially. But just wanted to provide that clarification. And again, thank you guys for helping us to be able to provide that and bring in a new presenter that I don't believe has been in Iowa yet at this point. So thanks again.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Is there anyone else that would wish to speak? Okay, it doesn't sound like we have anybody, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Tracy Bearden.
Sorry, I think I missed who was the second there.
Robbie Johannesson.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.